Nice. I love that video. It's all hype, and that's what we're all here to do, is get all excited. So if you're here for the first time, welcome. If you want to come in and meet us after service, there's a "We're New Here" banner. Come see us. We got a nice little gift for you, little Starbucks package for you. It would be great to get to know you just a little bit more. All right, I like to have a little bit of fun. I think we all like to have a little bit of fun. Do you guys like to have a little bit of fun? All right, this morning, we're going to talk about goats. Okay, goats. There's some people in our small group. They raise goats. The other day, someone was joining, and their goat was giving birth to some little goats. And we also know that there's some people in our small group that they do yoga with goats. It's the weirdest thing. Anyway, that's not the kind of goat that I'm talking about. I am talking about the greatest of all time kind of goat. Okay, a little more familiar, something this is usually associated with sports, okay? So, for example, like greatest of all time would be Wayne Gretzky in hockey, LeBron James in basketball, Michael Jordan in basketball, Tiger Woods in golf. Yes. All right, I want to have a little bit of fun here. I'm going to go through a couple different greatest of all time, and I want to see what you guys think. Does that sound okay to you? All right. I don't know. Greatest male athlete of all time. Tom Brady or Tiger Woods? Tom Brady. You can make some noise. Tiger Woods. Whoa, you guys just cheer, make some noise, do something. Greatest female athlete of all time. Serena Williams? Mia Hamm. Because she's got a great last name. Yeah? I mean, Serena is pretty dominant. It's a hard one to compete with. Okay, guys, let's hear this. Greatest TV show of all time. Seinfeld or Friends? Seinfeld. Friends. Whoa, okay, there we go. That one was very, very clear. Greatest game show of all time. The Price is Right with Bob Barker or with Drew Carey? Bob Barker. Right on. Okay, last one here. I know this one's not just for me. Greatest musician of all time. Beethoven, Bach, or Justin Bieber? Bach or Bieber? Bach. Bieber. Wow. That did not go the way I thought it was going to go. Anyway, that was for my wife, not for me. Guys, again, if it's your first time, if you're joining us online, welcome. We're glad that you're here. We're wrapping up the third part of a three-part series called He's Still Got the Whole World in His Hands. But before that, we're going to talk about next weekend really quick. Next weekend's Easter. Can you guys say Easter? Right on. It's a fantastic weekend for our community here at Centerpoint Church, but also the broader community where we can invite friends, family, neighbors. If you go in the foyer after service, you're going to see a table. It's full of invitations that have chocolate attached to them. The chocolate is for eating for those that you invite. That's more for me because they're pretty delicious. But if you can go out there after service and grab one of those invitations or a bunch of them, feel free to bring them with you. Those people with you next week for Easter Sunday. All right, so we're wrapping up this third part of a three-part series. He's still got the whole world in his hands. You know, in today's day, we're more connected than ever, meaning we hear everything, we see everything that's happening all around us. This leads us to questions like, man, how do I just remain hopeful? Or how do I continue to trust God when, His presence doesn't always feel felt? Or how do I feel at peace when things are kind of a bit chaotic and out of control? Well, we're reminded about His faithfulness and His presence and His concern for us through this series. He's still got the whole world in His hands. So we're going to get into this, guys, this next part of our service. We're going to sing together. I invite you to stand. Say hello to somebody next to you. We're going to have lyrics on the screen. You can sing and read along with us. Let's have a great service together, and we'll see you after the message.
And sing together.
From heaven you can hear, I know you're drawing near as I worship. Yes, you are. within your love. The wind and waves will come, but I will stay here. Yes, I will. I lift my hands. I lift my hands to heaven. Hear my heart surrendered. I tell my soul again, you are Lord of all. And though the seas are raging, you will speak and tame them. In you I find my rest. You are in control. Yes, you are. Through valleys I will trust. Your spirit is enough to keep me walking. Guide my every step. You guide my every step. Speak life to me again. Lord, I need you. Oh, I need you. I lift my hands to heaven. Hear my heart surrendered. I tell my soul again, you are Lord of all. And though the seas are raging, you will speak and tame them. And you I find my rest. You are in control. Jesus, you're in control, Lord. You're in control, Lord. I will trust. I will trust in only you. No one can add to your perfection. You're the beginning and the end, more than I can comprehend. There is no one like you, no one. And I will trust in only you. No one can add to your perfection. You're the beginning and the end, more than I can comprehend. There is no one like you, no one. I will trust in only you. No one can add to your perfection. You're the beginning and the end, more than I can comprehend. There is no one like you, Jesus. I lift my hands to heaven, hear my heart surrendered. I tell my soul again, you are Lord of all. And though the seas are raging, you will speak and tame them. In you I find my rest. You are Lord of all. Lift my hands, I lift my hands to heaven. Hear my heart surrendered. I tell my soul again, you are Lord of all. Though the seas are raging, you will speak and tame them. In you I find my rest. You are in control. In you I find my rest. You are in control. In you I find my rest. You are in control. In you I find my rest. You are in control. I lift my hands to heaven, hear my heart surrendered. I tell my soul again, you are Lord of all. And though the seas are raging, you will speak and tame them. You I find my rest. You are in control. Yes, you are. You're in control, Lord Jesus.
Let the King of my heart be the mountain where I run, fountain I drink from. Oh, he is my song. Let the King of my heart be the shadow where I hide, the ransom for my life. Oh, he is my song. You are good, good. Oh, 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 let the King of my heart be the wind inside my sails, the anchor in the waves. Oh, he is my song. Let the King of my heart be the fire inside my veins, the echo of my days. Oh, he is my song. Let the King of my heart be the wind inside my sails, the anchor in the waves. Oh, he is my song. Let the King of my heart be the fire inside my veins, the echo of my days. Oh, he is my song. You are good, good. Oh, you are good, good. Oh, you are good, good. Oh, you are good, good.
And you're never gonna let me down. You're never gonna let me down. You're never gonna let me down. You're never gonna let. Come on, sing it out. And you're never gonna let me down. You're never gonna let me down. No, no. You're never gonna let me down. No. You're never, come on, sing it out. So sing it out. He's good.
You are good.
Yes, you're good, God.
Good.
Even in the pain,
Oh,
even in the trials, you are good.
you are good. Good. Oh.
Amen, amen. God, you are so good.
Awesome, everybody. Hi, my name is Josh. I'm lead pastor here at Center Point, and I want to thank you for being with us again today. And we couldn't be more excited about being here and getting to meet together. And of course, the message of Easter and Easter Sunday is next week. And I love Easter. I do. I love Easter. And part of the reason is I like the chocolate aspect, but the other half of it is it's just such an incredible message of hope. There's nothing else in the world quite like it. And I want to tell you a quick story, and it's a story of invitation. And as we're thinking about Easter and we're thinking about opportunity, we're thinking about maybe somebody in our world that might need hope. A few years ago, many moons ago, I proposed to my wife, Destiny. Okay, cool. I don't know who that was, but taken. No, I'm kidding, joking. But whatever. Okay. So anyways, I proposed to my wife, Destiny. And I don't know if you've ever given an invitation like that. Maybe you invited somebody into your company, or maybe you invited somebody to live with you for a portion of time or ask you out on a date. Maybe you did one of these invitations and your heart's racing, right? And there's something about an invitation that's so mysterious because we actually don't know what the other person's response is going to be. And so the reason we hesitate with things like invitation, or the reason we procrastinate with invitation, is because we're not so sure what the optics are going to be. We're not so sure if the person's going to say yes, or if they're going to say no. And if they say no, what are the implications of the no? What are the implications of the yes? Right? We don't know the outcomes of the invitation. But if I never invited Destiny to journey with me, there'd be a lot that we would have missed out on. As a matter of fact, I asked Destiny out. I remember I was waiting after I was in high school. We were high school sweethearts, whatever that means. We were it, okay? And so I waited outside the high school. I remember sitting in my friend's car, and I'm like, I can't go in there. I can't go in there. He's like, dude, just go ask her to what was called the snowball. I went to a Christian private school. It was the first dance they ever had, okay? And so we were going, I wanted to go to it. I can't dance, but whatever, I'm going to go. And so I waited outside, and I can't do this. And he's like, just go in. You'll regret it your whole life, is what he told me. And you know what? I would have. Not just that Destiny's awesome, which she is, but eventually that relationship brought me into a youth camp in which I actually gave my life to Jesus and began to pursue Jesus. He'd been pursuing me for a long time. I was just a little bit tone deaf. But it was through that invitation that opportunity opened up. And on the other side of every invitation is opportunity. And I'm not just talking about next week for Easter, even though next week for Easter is a great opportunity as people are open to invitation for Easter. But in all of our lives, that we invite people to journey with us and into our story. We don't separate our lives at home from our lives at work, but we invite people into the authenticity of our life. Constantly, we are on the verge of seizing the day of opportunity, and it comes with invitation. And so as we think about Easter next week, the heart might race a little bit. There might be apprehension. There's a bit of a mystery on what's on the other side of the invitation, but I want to say that we never know. But when we at least extend it, it provides somebody the opportunity to make a decision. And it's not just simply about filling a seat, but it's giving people the opportunity to hear the greatest story that's ever been told. And so I want to encourage you, church, after service to grab an invitation, go grab one, because we want a church that invests and invites in our community, that brings people along with us to sit in the seats beside us so that we can provide atmospheres like this, experiences like this, that people, we kind of bring the rung down on the ladder so that people can experience Jesus, and we can remove all those barriers that they can hear the greatest story ever told. It changed my life. It's changed many people's lives. And let's give people the opportunity to hear that same message. So next week, Easter's coming. It's coming. So grab an invitation, whether it's a door hanger or your phone over text or Facebook Messenger, but send out the invite. It's going to be a great week. I'll be back up in just a minute, but why don't you turn your attention to the screen? All right, so we are in part 3 of our series. He's still got the whole world in his hands. And this is by far one of the largest messages that I've taught, and definitely in the series. It's just one of those that we all have to come to some conclusion around the idea of hope. And today I want to talk about one of the most difficult tensions that we manage in our life, and it's this. It's how do we remain hopeful in a hopelessly broken world? How do we do it? How do we keep our hope alive and anchored in the middle of a hopelessly broken world? Because every one of us at some point will have to face this dilemma. We face remaining hopeful in the midst of a relationship that didn't go the way that we wanted, or maybe it did, and that had implications to our freedoms, or it had implications to our life. It might be around job, or it might be around wealth. It might be around spirituality. It might be around a whole myriad of different things. And life happens, and transition happens, and challenging times come. And how do we remain hopeful in a challenging time? Now, if you've ever thought this, why even try? What's the use? What's the point? Then you know the dilemma I'm talking about. And that's the tension that I want to talk about today in the third part of this series. Now let's look for a minute at what the definition of hope is. So if we're going to remain hopeful, we have to know what the definition of hope is, and this is what it is. Hope is a person or thing in which my expectations are centered. In other words, my expectations for the future. So my hope is that I've placed my expectations on a person or on a thing for future and preferably good outcomes. And the person or thing that we place our trust in provides us confidence related to our future. And based on this person or thing, our confidence can wane. And so hopelessness is this. Hopelessness is this. It's the feeling, again, a feeling, that comes with knowing that the person or thing in which I have placed my hope will not, or maybe cannot, come through. And we've all had these moments. These moments where it felt hopeless. It felt dark. It didn't quite work out the way we had thought. Or the person wasn't infallible, right? Or the person wasn't there or couldn't be there. Or the job went away. Or my net worth went down. Or my 5-year plan didn't pan out. We placed our hope in something and it left us falling short. And from the day we are born, we place our hope in something. I mean, we usually start to place our hope in our parents, right? That's what we do. At one point, we don't really have a choice. I mean, they're kind of taking care of us, and we're babies, and babies are these incredible, small, delicate human beings that are solely reliant on somebody. That's how we start. We are solely reliant on somebody to feed us, somebody to clean us, somebody to carry us around. I mean, it's crazy. That's how we start. But then somewhere along the way, maybe we thought, you know what, I need to be more independent. I need to get my stuff together, and so I'm gonna move on from my parents. Or maybe they disappointed you and you move your hope from your parents to something else. It happens to all of us that at some point we move our hope. And hope is like a ladder. Now, I always get nervous about props, especially when I go off stage, because it was supposed to come out, but then it didn't, so I'm going to go get it. Hope is like a ladder. I'm just going to put it here for now so you can look at it and wonder what's going to happen. But we trust it to support our dreams, our security, and our future. And this is something we never like to think about until it begins to dissipate. It's like air. And hope, if we're not careful, when it's like air and it dissipates, we kind of have awkward responses because we become desperate. Like when you can't breathe, you do anything you can to try and get your air. I mean, you fight for it, you flail for it, you do whatever you possibly can. But if it evaporates, we know it's gone. And it's at this point that we feel hopeless, we feel helpless, and we feel powerless. And the older we get, like the more we age, even if I'm still young, I get it, okay? But the more that you age, the more we tend to lean our ladders of hope against people and things that promise financial and emotional security. And no more than the pandemic over the last 2 years did the last 2 years reveal our ladders of hope. It revealed what we were propping ourselves up against. It revealed what we put into the relationships in our world. It revealed to us how much security we put in our finances. It revealed to us the hope that we had or didn't have in God. Hopelessness leaves us desperate. But throughout the pages of the Old and the New Testament, this experience of volatility and of change, it appears over and over and over again. And we are told over and over again in the Old and the New Testament of our Bible to put our hope in God. Here's the hot take of the day. The only way to maintain hope in a broken world is to place our hope in God. Full stop. Now, there's some things we place our hope in. And there's some things we prop ourselves up against. Please, Lord, let this work. Okay. I didn't say that out loud, did I? Can't tell. Sometimes you go into those isolation patterns with COVID and am I talking to myself or was that out loud? Okay, anyways. I thought that would be funnier. We hesitate as a nation. And the reason is because we don't believe that we're fully all that broken. We believe things are better than they actually are. And we believe that we can lead ourselves through exercise, through drugs, through surgeries, and through education to a place where we will be untouchable. And that's this. The education, right? This is the thing we lean our hope on because I had mapped out the 5-year plan and I had the right friends around me and I had it all together. And then what do? We want to climb the ladder. Now I'm going to ask for an audience member. No, I'm kidding. Christian, can you? No. Friends of friends. You know, guys know that song? Maybe you didn't grow up in the church. It was this Michael W. Smith song. Didn't quite work out in the mainstream music, so he drifted to Christian music, and that was the song that kind of thrust him. You didn't need to know that. But then what we do is we put all of our hope in ourselves, and then we'll do everything possible to maintain control. We'll do everything we possibly can to maintain control of our life, and then we place our full hope on ourselves or on other people or that thing. And we will spend countless hours. We'll stay up late at night. We'll make sure that we do whatever is possible to maintain hope in our thing. And the Bible addresses this head on. Perhaps the clearest in a book called Romans, in particular chapter 8, where Paul, who is the author of this book, gives us valuable insight. And this is written to Roman Christians who were under the reign of Nero at the time. And instead of taking you through every single verse, I'm going to highlight a number of different verses, and then I'm going to jump to 3 specific verses today. But what we do here is we forget because we don't like to talk about it, and like in the mainstream media, we don't want to use the word. Even Christians, it's come out of our language because we don't want to come across harsh. We don't want to come across judgmental. And so what we've done is just absolved our language of the word sin. And for some of you that are here for the first time, you're like, I knew he'd say it, right? And you're here, and automatically what we do is we go, oh, okay, so now he pointed out and he's going to make me feel bad. But here's what we do. Instead of that response, instead of addressing it, what we do is we hide it and we believe that nothing is broken. We believe that our perspective is always right. We believe that the job's always going to be there. We believe that the health is always going to be there. We believe that the job is always going to be there. The investment's always going to go up and to the right. We believe because we don't actually believe that there's something in the world that has permeated it and broken it. We think sin is like an isolated act in just one part of our life, but God viewed sin as a fatal disease. And once introduced into the world, it infected and eventually killed everything. And everything within life, and nobody wants to say this, it dies. Have you noticed that? The death rate is still 100%. And then Paul is going to lean into this and say the reason you can have hope is not just because you maintain control or not just because you overlook the fact that there's sin in the world, but there's something bigger and there's something better and there's hope that can be found, especially in the message of Easter that we're going to get into today. And so Paul begins, and we're going to start in verse 20 here. Let's in Romans chapter 8, verse 20. This is what he says. He says, for the creation, that's you and me and all the world, okay, was subjected to frustration. Something's not quite as it should be. We all feel it. We sense it. We know there's something not quite right. And not by its own choice, but by the will of the one who subjected it in hope. It's important words. In hope. Let's go to the next verse. That the creation itself, the hope that the creation itself will be liberated. I mean, freed from all the things that are broken, from its bondage to decay and be brought into the freedom and the glory, it says, of the children of God. That there's something ahead that God has still yet to do. But there is a frustration. In other words, it's a bad idea to attach yourself to or your hope to anything in the world that is decaying. Nothing is really as stable as it looks. And for those of you that are type A, you kind of control freaks, the world just won't cooperate with your great image of it. I mean, it's not free enough. It's not safe enough. It's not secure enough. People aren't educated enough. They're not kind enough. They're not smart enough. I mean, things continually keep breaking. People misbehave. Your children aren't interested in their plan for, like your plan for their lives. Your parents won't fund your big dreams, teenagers. People won't be forced to take things. The regulations won't stay. Or they won't go. I mean, you were told you could change the world, but you can't even change your neighbor's mind. This feels a little hopeless. Josh, I showed up Sunday morning. Here I am. Where are you going with all this? And in verse 22 through 23 are frustrations Paul outlines. They create a longing in us for something better or different. And it's not to judge the world and condemn the world. It's not to point fingers. But there is something beyond this life, delivered and longing to be delivered from the presence and the effect of sin. It's like everything is groaning for some sort of change. And for those who call themselves followers of Jesus, waiting for something to change. And this is what Paul reminds us of in verse 24. He says, in the hope of Jesus in the story of Easter, that this is not all there is, and there's something bigger, and there's something better, and there's something more awesome. For in this hope that Jesus died and he rose again, that this is not all there is, but there is so much more to look forward to. But in hope that is seen is no hope at all. Who hopes for what they already have? In other words, stop placing your hope solely in all the things that you already have. There's something so much greater that Paul is wanting us to focus on. Let me be really direct. Not only are we removing sin from the equation, and there's good news around it, but we've just eliminated eternity as well. It's like we do everything to push it out of our viewpoint. We've pushed eternity to the back of our minds, and if we're not careful, we get stuck in the here and now. But if we hope for what we do not have, we wait for it patiently, it says in verse 25. In other words, if we hope for what we do not yet have, we must wait. What's this word? Well, I don't know. It's been 2 years. Yeah. It has. Patiently, we wait. And if we don't give up hope and we continue to wait, we still, like we said in week 1, got to remember that God is at work now in this life. And when we find ourselves frustrated, God understands and hears our prayers, even when our prayers are just groans, frustrations, mournings, and agony. But then verse 31 comes in Romans 8, and this is fantastic. I love this. What then shall we say in response to all these things? Go on Facebook and tell everybody how terrible things are? Demonize people? Is that the response? No. If God is for us, who can be against us? In other words, if we move our ladder of hope to something greater than our own control and our own outcomes, even our own perspectives, and we take all these frustrating things and we bring them back to God, and we remove our ladder when it falls, sorry, that was dramatic, and then we place it on something greater than ourselves, and we place our weight, and we stand on the hope that God has for us. My weight isn't upon all the things that can easily bend and break. My weight is upon the infrastructure that was here, the intentionality of the engineers, the pouring of people who are much more skilled than I of the concrete of those walls, to make sure that year after year it could stand the test of time. And so too, we have to entrust our hope to the engineer. We have to entrust our hope to the one who can build it, sustain it, and maintain it. And what's incredible about this is it's an invitation to lean our ladders against God's love for us. Love not demonstrated by the fact that we landed the job, or we got the scholarship, or we married into money, or earned a position on that team, but love demonstrated in history. At the greatest moment, when God sent his son to die for your sin and secured me and you, for those who have chosen to follow God, has secured a spot for us in his family. And in the meantime, you live out your kingdom values in a world of unhappy endings, like Jesus did, like Paul did, like your grandma did. You love even though it doesn't seem to make a difference. You put others first, even though it doesn't appear that they get it. You serve even though it costs you. You do your best because you believe that God is watching, and you don't cut corners because your boss or that person that is important isn't watching. You give generously when nobody's looking. Do we plan? Yes. Do we dream? Yes. Do we pursue progress? Yes. Do we continually keep building great things? Yes. But do we put all of our hope in those plans, in those dreams, and those ambitions? No. We hold it all with an open hand and say, this is temporary. But God, your love is eternal. And what we do is we shift our hope from all the things that we can control, and we shift our hope and we place it on the one who holds it all together, sustains it all, the one who controls it all. Now, some of you have been thinking about where your hope is leaning. And here's what you need to know. Is either you move your hope or you lose hope. The one great lesson, somebody asked me, what is the lesson of the pandemic, Josh, as a pastor? This is it. You either move your hope or you lose hope. But once you place it in the one who holds it all, the thing that you have been putting your hope and your faith and you putting your trust in, and the thing that you hoped would work itself out that didn't do it, that didn't deliver, that's even okay, because we know that there's somebody that holds it all together. So what or whom you are hoping in determines your ability to hope in a broken world. So the question is, who are you placing your hope and your trust in? Because you have been invited to lean your hope against God's unending love for you. But make no mistake, it's an invitation. God will not force this upon you. It's an invitation for you to respond to. And will you choose to move your ladder? Or will you choose to keep going? My prayer and my hope for you, as well as many other people, is that you would put your hope and your trust in God. Now we're going to end the service today with a song. And as we prepare for Easter, as we think about Easter and what's ahead, it's this incredible story that God sent his son Jesus to enter into history to change it all. That what was once broken, that there would be life there again. That what seemed totally dead and buried, that again there would be life, and there would be again a sense of purpose. And so today, as we conclude today's service, we're going to sing a song. And the song in the bridge, it repeats over and over again. It's all for love. It's all for love that Jesus came. Because you see, there's a world that constantly is shifting and evolving and changing. There's things that people are constantly putting their hope onto and their ladders onto that are falling short. And so Jesus said, hey, I'm going to make a way. Once and for all, I'm going to provide a place where you can put your ladder. I'm going to provide a place for hope. I'm going to provide a place for strength. I'm going to provide a place for peace. I'm going to provide a place of unending love that is unmovable. And I'm going to make a way because I know you can't. You're not perfect. You make mistakes. You fail. But God says, I don't. And because of that, I'm going to send the great rescue plan. And so Jesus came. And so this song is about that. As we conclude this series, he's still got the whole world in his hands. I believe this with all my heart. I place my hope, my ladder, on the unending love of God. And my prayer is that you would as well. And so as we conclude today, we're going to sing this song. And my prayer for you is that if you're there, if you're wanting to place your hope ladder, if you're wanting to shift where your ladder is, that today would be the day. That rather than put it on the things that are transient or the things that change or the things that are broken, that you'd put it on God's unending love. So you can sit there right now. Connie and the team are going to lead us in this awesome song.
He has walked upon the open waters. The seas were calm with just a word from him. And he has fought the raging war of sorrows. When he speaks, a whisper shouts within. I see a miracle in an empty grave. The one we thought was dead has come to life again. I see a miracle in every chain you break. The power of heaven roaring within me. He will lift the anxious and the weary, calling home the burdened and the lost. And I am proof that you delight in second chances. I am proof in the power of the cross. I see a miracle in an empty grave. The one we thought was dead has come to life again. I see a miracle in every chain you break. The power of heaven roaring within me. And all for love you rose triumphant. All for love you are. And all for love you came back for me. All for love. All for love. All for love. My name is worthy. All for love you come. All for love. Your scars cry mercy. All for love. All for love. Jesus Christ, passion is his name. He traded all his glory for our shame. And like he rose in freedom from the ashes, we will rise from death to life again. I see a miracle in an empty grave. The one we thought was dead has come to life again. I see a miracle
much for coming and singing. We can't wait to see you next week for our Easter service. Have a great day.